What the hell is Colorado doing?
Why Colorado?
Colorado is trying to punish gun owners for the acts of criminals by trying to pass a gun bill that will force gun owners to pay for the acts of criminals. The bill is HB 241349, and what it does is it creates 11% excise tax on the sale of all firearms, firearm accessories, and ammunition in the state. If passed, the tax will be on the ballot this fall. Firearms and ammunition are already subject to 11% federal excise tax through the Pittman-Robertson Act, along with a variety of other state and local taxes and fees. To no one's surprise though, California did this exact same thing already, and I did a video about it where I said this. Who do they think this is gonna hurt? Because it's not gonna hurt the criminals. It's not gonna hurt the rich and the wealthy. It's gonna hurt the poor. It's gonna hurt the people in the middle. It's gonna hurt the people who don't make that much money. Do you know what a 20% tax on a firearm does to people's ability to buy a firearm? It's insane. So if I buy a gun for $500 and I have a 20% tax, I'm looking at $200. I'm looking at additional $100 on a $500 gun. That's crazy. They're literally pricing people out of the Second Amendment. How is that not a ban? How? How is that not a constructive ban? You're making guns so expensive that people can't afford to buy them, while being able to say on paper you have a Second Amendment right. What happened to the reasonableness? What is reasonable about charging people 20% tax on a firearm that they buy to protect their life? There's also a second bill that they're trying to pass, which is HB 241348, which mandates that firearms stored in unattended vehicles must be kept in a locked hard-sided container that is kept out of view or within the locked trunk of the vehicle. Look, I get that the idea behind this bill is to make it harder for people to have their guns stolen from the cars, but you don't have to mandate the action. I don't think anyone wants to have their guns stolen, and I have a hard time believing people are just leaving guns sitting on the seat of their car when they're not in the car. But I don't know, maybe I overestimate people's intelligence in this country. That said, most people throw their guns into the glove boxes or the center console of their vehicle, which I get isn't the most secure, but having it in a hard-sided container that can simply be picked up and taken away isn't any more secure either. So the question remains, how is this tax forcing gun owners to pay for the acts of criminals? Well, as the saying goes, all you have to do is
follow the money, follow the money.
You see, the bill specifies that the first $45 million in the first fiscal year and that amount as adjusted for inflation or deflation in each fiscal year thereafter must be transferred to the Colorado Crime Victim Service Fund in the Division of Criminal Justice of the Department of Public Safety for crime victim service grants.
Now the state wants to give more support to those victims by setting up a fund for them. The Attorney General's office will start that fund with $1 million. The fund will make sure those victims have support for years to come, something the former principal of Columbine High School says is an important lesson he's learned in the past 20 years. The fund will only be for mass casualties caused by criminal activities, not any natural disasters.
I don't have a problem with having a fund for victims of crime. However, I do have a problem with forcing gun owners who don't commit crimes to pay for crimes they didn't commit with exorbitant taxes, because it's not just an 11% tax. The Pittman-Robertson Wildlife Restoration Act also places an 11% tax on firearms and ammunition, so that's a 22% tax in total, which is wild.
No pun intended.
Let's just call a spade a spade. They're financially punishing Americans for exercising a constitutional right. So what do you think? Is it fair to charge 11% tax on guns, ammo, and gun parts to subsidize criminality? And do you think people should be mandated to lock their guns up while they're in their car unattended? Let me know in the comments.